Could it be? With me, your man, Louie T, here on the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your Commander-in-Chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Quick video here on a Saturday evening. We're getting to crunch time. That's how you know we're getting to crunch time. If I'm doing videos on Saturdays, that we're getting down the stretch, and everything matters at this point of the season, including roster moves being made on Saturdays that probably are an indication as to what's to come on Sunday. So I want to talk about that today because we got a surprise on the injury report on Friday. And so that sparked a little speculation. They made a few roster moves. I think we can start to draw inferences as to who's going to be up, who's going to be down. There's one that's a little murky. We'll talk about it, but let's talk about what the Commanders posted on their social media account today. And then I got something else that I want to chop it up with you guys about too. So the Commanders, as you can see, posted this on their social media accounts. We have made the following roster moves. The first one, no-brainer, expected this move at some point this week. Wide receiver Noah Brown placed on the reserve injured list. His season is done, okay? Activated wide receiver Jamison Crowder off the reserve injured list and removed him from the injury report. So he has been activated. His window was open this week. He's been activated. And it makes me think about the receiving group moving forward and what it's going to look like. With Noah Brown being out for the remainder of the season, more likely than not, are the Commanders going to carry 6 receivers on the roster every week? Because when Noah Brown was healthy, I think they were only carrying 5. Let's see if we can name the receivers. Maybe they were carrying 6 and we just didn't think about it. But Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, Dyami Brown, Luke McCaffrey, and Olamide Zaccheaus were the 5 guys that they were carrying. I could be missing someone, but I don't think I am. Those were the 5 receivers that they would carry every week. Assuming that KJ Osborne is active and Jamison Crowder is active, that would give us 6. That's not a number that I think we've been carrying this season. Now, again, I could be wrong and I could be forgetting someone. I could be omitting a receiver that's been active on game days here of late, but I think we've been carrying 5 pretty much the entire season. And now it would be Terry, KJ Osborne, Luke McCaffrey, Dyami Brown, OZ, Jamison Crowder. So that would give you 6. That could mean that one of those receivers could be inactive come Sunday. That includes Jamison Crowder. He could be activated, but not be on the active roster on Sunday. But all signs point to him being activated. They activated him from the reserve list. It's with the intent of him being available on Sunday and playing. So could OZ potentially be a healthy scratch? I don't see that happening. Same with Luke, right? Like same with Dyami. Like these are guys that I can't imagine them coming up on a Sunday and being healthy scratches. So it makes me believe that they're going to roll with an extra receiver, which means they'll have to pull, a player from a different position group. We'll figure out what that all looks like come Sunday, obviously. So then you look at the last one, defensive tackle Carl Davis and Greg Joseph have both been elevated from the practice squad. That means they're going to be active. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. At least with Jamison, it doesn't mean he's going to be active on Sunday. It just means he's eligible to be active on Sunday if they so choose to make him so. These 2 at the bottom, you're not elevating practice squad guys unless they're playing, right? You just leave them on the practice squad. So Carl Davis is playing on Sunday. The question is it because of the injury to Daron Payne, that back injury that flared up out of nowhere and forced him to miss practice on Friday and led to us speculating that, maybe he might not play this weekend. I also want to caution you in assuming that Daron is out because keep in mind, Carl Davis, the last time the Commanders played a game, was active in lieu of Phidarian Mathis being a healthy scratch, right? So understand that this could just simply be Fedarian Mathis being sat down yet again, and Deron Payne's perfectly fine. He's going to give it a go, and Carl Davis is up due to Fedarian Mathis being down. Or it could be what we think it is, right? Which is Deron Payne, back flared up, going to sit him down, got a big one next week. And I don't think they're thinking about next week as to why they're sitting Deron down. If he can't go, if they're not comfortable with where his back is right now, they're just going to sit him, right? They've shown us that all season long. This has nothing to do with, hey, let's save him. That's a fan thing. That's how we think. Hey, let's just save him for next week against Philadelphia. No. If he can go this week, they're going to play him. And if he's not healthy, if they're not comfortable with where his back is, they're just not going to chance it. So I think most of us believe Deron Payne is going to miss this game. Fedarian Mathis will be active, and so will Carl Davis. It could be that Deron's going to give it a go. Fedarian is down again for the second straight game. That's not, out of the realm of possibility that they're just like, no, we're good on Fedarian. Carl, we like you. You're going to get another opportunity this week. And Deron is playing. So I think that Deron's going to be down this week due to the back. Fedarian's going to be up. Carl Davis is going to be up. And then here's another big one. Greg Joseph. We talked about him being signed. Generally, teams don't do anything with extra kickers unless there's a true, real concern. Remember, I talked about this when Austin Seibert was having issues and, he cropped up on the injury report. And I'm like, well, I'm not as concerned because if the team were concerned, they would have brought another kicker in. And then the next day, they brought in Zane Gonzalez, right? And then you're like, oh, maybe there is something here to this. And then Zane Gonzalez ultimately kicked the next 2 weeks against Philadelphia and the Steelers. The Steelers, and then the Eagles, and then Seibert came back against the Cowboys. It didn't go well, and Gonzalez came back after that. That didn't go well, and now he has an injury. And at first I was like, well, maybe it's not a big deal. He practiced in full the last 2 days of practice, but then they signed Greg Joseph on Friday to the practice squad, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there is something here. But DQ sounded pretty confident that Zane Gonzalez was going to be able to go. He did everything in practice. And I told you, I said, the last time DQ told us a guy at the kicking position did everything, even though they were limited throughout the course of the week. Oh, they did everything. It was Austin Seibert against Dallas. He wasn't okay. And, we saw the end result. I think that kind of I don't know. I can't say this for sure, but my guess is that played a little bit into their thought process. We rather get a fully healthy kicker out there than a guy that's struggling with, something. That's his plant foot. His left foot is his plant foot. That's a big deal. If your foot is bothering you, it doesn't matter for a kicker, left or right. If either one of them are bothering you, we got issues, right? If it's an upper body injury for a kicker, okay, whatever, right? But anything lower extremities, hamstring, quad, calf, foot, I don't give a shit if it's on your left or your right foot, your left or your right leg. Both of them are equally as important when you're a kicker. One is to help you, plant and drive. The other one is to, control the accuracy of, how you strike the ball, where it goes, and how far it goes. So anything with the lower extremities, he had a foot injury, left foot. Like, what are we doing here, right? So Greg Joseph has been activated. That means he's playing. That means we're going to have our fourth kicker of the year kicking for us this season. Started off the year with Cade York. That was a failed experiment, only lasted 1 week. Austin Seibert came in, saved the day in week 2 versus the Giants, remained our kicker all the way until week number 9, where he got injured after that game. And then week 10 and 11, we had Zane Gonzalez. Seibert came back for 12, got injured again. Then Gonzalez came back for 13. Now he's injured. And on to Greg Joseph we go. I actually trust Greg Joseph. I told you he's a good veteran kicker in this league. I don't know how far that leg extends. At one point, he was bombing them from 56 and 57 when he was a Viking. But that was about 3 years ago or so. So I don't know if we're still in that department with Greg Joseph. But I like him more than I like Zane Gonzalez. I'll tell you that much. And so I feel pretty confident that he's going to get the job done for us on Sunday. So that's another one to pay attention to. Greg Joseph probably going to be our place kicker for the foreseeable future is my guess. If he kicks well in this game, it could be bye-bye Zane Gonzalez, right? They like Zane. They don't love Zane, obviously. And so we'll see. I mean, if Greg Joseph kicks well, if he has to kick 3 field goals and one of them's from 53 yards and he makes all 3, I get it. It's a controlled environment inside in a dome. Don't care, right? If he makes all of his kicks in this game, he could be our kicker until Austin Seibert is ready to come back. Who knows? He could be the kicker for the rest of the year. We'll see. But he will be the kicker in Week 15 versus the New Orleans Saints. I can tell you that much. So those are all things that we need to keep on the, sort of somewhere in the forefront of your brain, maybe, just in the back. But don't forget that these things are taking place. So those are some roster moves to pay attention to. And then shout out to Miss Perry, Miss P, a.k.a. Condo P, for sending me this on X. She sent me this tweet here from the 33rd team on X. And it says the highest percent of drives ending in a touchdown or field goal since 2000. The 2018 Chiefs, that was Mahomes' first year as a starter, almost 53%, let's just call it 53% of their drives ended in either a field goal or a touchdown, so some sort of points. First of all, do you understand how ridiculous that is? Think about that. In an NFL season, a team is probably going to have roughly, 170 to 200 possessions, give or take, right? Somewhere in that neighborhood. You usually have anywhere from 10 to 15 possessions a game. You times that by 17 now with the new 17-game schedule, you're going to find yourself somewhere in that, 170 to 200, possession range. And again, give or take, right? You have a game where you a bunch of punts and, you end up with 17 possessions in that game. But most likely it's going to be somewhere in that, 9 to 13, 9 to 14 range. And do you understand, though, how hard it is to score on over half of those, right? Like, that's insane. Look at the pace the Commanders are on right now. So the 2018 Chiefs have the highest amount of scoring possessions in the NFL since 2000. 2007 Patriots are at 52.7. The 2016 Falcons, Matt Ryan was the MVP of the league that year, 52.6. And then there are mine, and everyone else who roots for the team, Washington Commanders, 52.2% of the time they score points. That is amazing. And I just want, and then the tweet finishes up with this. 2019 Ravens also 51.8. Both the Patriots and Falcons made it to the Super Bowl that year. And I'm going to take it a step further. 2018 Chiefs made it to the AFC Championship game, lost to Tom Brady, right? 2007 Patriots, as he said, made it to the Super Bowl. That was the greatest team that we've ever seen. If you watched that 2007 Patriots team, didn't lose a regular season game. And if Asante Samuel caught that interception in the Super Bowl, they are the undefeated Patriots, and they're the greatest team in NFL history. And the Dolphins in 1972 no longer have the distinction of being the only perfect team in NFL history. So this is the kind of company we're keeping when we talk about this statistic. 2016 Falcons were as dynamic and explosive in offense as I can remember over the last 8 years, roughly. Matt Ryan was league MVP, Roddy White, Julio Jones, Devontae Freeman. I mean, they had a squad that year. Tony Gonzalez. I mean, they were phenomenal. Went to the Super Bowl, should have won the Super Bowl, obviously up 28-3. We all know the story there. And then the 2019 Ravens, that was Lamar Jackson's first real foray, like seriously, as the guy into the postseason. They were the number 1 seed that year, and they got upset in their first playoff game in the divisional round by the Tennessee Titans. But all I'm telling you is, if you're that good on offense, generally you don't go home early in the postseason. I'm just telling you, with the way we can score, and I know that there's this narrative, and it's a real one. Like, this isn't some made-up narrative. This isn't, something that's low-hanging fruit that you dismiss. We haven't beat great teams this season. We're in the infant stages of our process. And the first stage, as I've always told you, is beating the teams you're supposed to beat. It's hard to beat good teams in this league consistently. It is. But what isn't hard if you're good is beating the teams you're supposed to beat. And that's what the good teams in the league do. That's how the Lions get to 12-1. That's how the Eagles get to 11-2, by beating the teams you're supposed to beat. If we would have done that, we'd be somewhere sniffing around 10 wins right now, right? If we would have beat Dallas like we were supposed to, we'd be at 9-4 right now with a chance to get to 10 wins here and pretty much locking shut a playoff berth. But we're still in the process of becoming that team. But I'll tell you this much, we can score with the best of them. Nobody's scoring at a higher clip than us this season, right? And I'll take it a step further. We don't know what this defense is going to look like, but this defense hasn't been bad this year. You can say what you want. It hasn't been aesthetically pleasing. We're not creating a ton of turnovers. We're not getting the type of pressure. Our run defense hasn't been great, but we're not giving up a bunch of points. Teams aren't walking the ball up and down the field on us. We haven't had one game where we just got our asses handed to us this season. Not one. Even the first game against Tampa, we were in that game in the fourth quarter. It got away from us in that fourth quarter, but we were in that game in the fourth quarter. By the way, that's the most points we've given up this season, was that 37 piece, or was it 38? Whatever it was, 30, I think it was 37-20. That 37 piece we gave up to Tampa, most points we gave up this season. I'm not bragging about giving up 37 points, but if your first game is your worst game, you're doing something right. You're doing something right. As a matter of fact, after the Bengals scored 33 on us, I don't think we've given up a 30 spot the Cowboys game. And two of those were special teams touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Like keeping it in its proper perspective. This defense has not been terrible, and now you're adding Marshon Lattimore to it. I'm not saying that this team is going to do anything crazy this year, but I've said this multiple times to you this year as well. Why not us? You can come up with reasons. Offense isn't good enough. We don't have good enough receivers, this, that, and the third. Why not us? We don't have to win a series. This isn't baseball. This isn't basketball. We don't have to win best out of 5. We don't have to win a best out of 7. We just need to be better than them that day. You think about the games we've lost this season and the opponents that we've lost to. We could have easily have beaten Baltimore. We were in that game. If we don't miss field goals and that we don't get a rough pass interference call that was not a pass interference call on a third down that would have forced Baltimore to punt that football, who knows what happens? If we don't miss a field goal in that game, who knows what happens? We should have beat the Steelers. We got holes on the late call there, right? If guys catch the football, if Jaden doesn't miss a wide open Luke McCaffrey, who knows what happens in that game? You lose that game by 1 with all the mistakes, poor call, all of that, 1 point. The Eagles game, we were up in the fourth quarter. We led for 3 quarters of that game. And we didn't play well. And we were up in that game heading into the fourth quarter. We didn't play well at all. And it fell apart in the fourth quarter. But we had the football with a chance to take the lead, and we went for it on 4th down. And I love the decision, by the way. We were down 12-10 with the football deep in Eagles territory. Like, let's not act as if this team hasn't been highly competitive in football games with a chance to beat good football teams this year. All I'm saying is things could change down the stretch. We get hot again offensively like we showed against Tennessee, and the defense starts to come along and they start creating some turnovers because Marshon Lattimore is going to change things on the defensive side of the football. Let's hope he stays healthy the rest of the way, but he's a damn good football player. When he's healthy and locked in, there aren't many better corners in the NFL. It's been a long time since we've had one of those types of guys at that position on this team. Again, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Anyway, didn't want to interrupt your Saturday with a ton. Just wanted to bring that to your attention that, hey, number of guys are being activated, which probably means other guys won't be. I think we can deduce and draw those conclusions and take those, take our inferences and draw conclusions. And I think we feel pretty confident knowing that if Greg Joseph is active, Zane Gonzalez probably won't be. If Carl Davis is active, one of the two won't be. Whether it's Fedarian Mathis or Deron Payne, one of those two Alabama defensive tackles won't be up tomorrow. My money's on Deron Payne, but I would not be shocked if Deron goes and it's a second straight game for Fedarian Mathis where he's a healthy scratch. And if it is, that's not good for Fedarian Mathis at all. All right. And then Jamison Crowder being up, again, we're not sure if he's going to be active on Sunday. It feels like it. It feels like he's going to be active on Sunday. And if he is, that would give them 6 receivers, assuming KJ Osborne is ready to go. Maybe KJ is not ready to contribute, which is why Jamison is up. We haven't kept more than 5 receivers on the active roster all season long in terms of game day, right? So if you were to have KJ Osborne ready to go and Jamison Crowder, that's 6. That means you're pulling from another position. So these are all things that I'm going to be interested to keep my eye on as we get closer to kickoff. And I'll just say this. I'm going to end it with this. This is a dangerous game because did you hear the Saints quarterback, Jake Haener? Like, he's getting his first career NFL start, right? The last time we were in this position where a guy that had been in the league a couple of years finally got an opportunity to start was 2 years ago against the Colts. And we saw what happened in that game. He played really well against us. I get it. This is not that. But Haener, he's talking reckless. The type of shit you don't want to hear this time of the year. He's like, I'm just going to go out, cut it loose. What do we have to lose? We're 5-8, right? I'm finally getting an opportunity to start. What do I have to lose? I'm going to go out there. I'm going to cut it loose. That's a dangerous man. That is a dangerous man right there. When people are talking about, that's some Taylor Heineke shit when we signed him in 2020. What do I got to lose? I was about to go take a test, and I thought my football career was over. I was calling up Scott Turner to see if I could get a coaching job. When guys come in with that mindset, they dive in and they doing all kinds of crazy shit. You never know what's going to happen. He's dangerous tomorrow. We better be on our P's and Q's, Y's and Z's, and we better take care of business because this dude's going to come out and he's laying it all on the line because he's playing for his NFL career right now. I don't like hearing that shit. So we got to take care of business. But I digress. Anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and I will see you guys tomorrow. You know what it is. Until then, post up. Take command. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Post-game show for you mob members. We'll be live during the game, watching this thing together, hopefully getting to 9-5 on the season. I'll see you guys then. Take care. Louie T.